Welcome to the Imperium. With me are the awesome, the Pontius, Pio, and my amazing co-host Tsunami. Hi to you guys.
Heyo.
Hey. Hello.
Hey.
Hey, and Pio is over there on the shoulder of Pontius. That is so cool.
I am here.
Yeah.
In the place that he is, Parrot.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Piorot.
So guys, we have a great topic to discuss today is the female custodians, and as we all know, we are total misogynists here, totally. We're just full of misogyny, especially me. I'm like the walking epitome of a non-woman. So, guys, what do you think about this great reveal that seems like it was inevitable and, well, yes, it did happen. So, Pontius, I'm just gonna give it to you.
I have seen less waste of plastic in a recycle plant, to be honest, than these fucking minis. There are people that comment that they look gorgeous. So to be honest, some decorations do, some don't. The rest look banal, to put it in the best way possible. And I love how they tried to not sexualize the female custodians in any way, even in the animation. And then in the models, they gave them boob armor. That's very coherent of Games Workshop.
Oh yes, they're always very coherent. Brother Tsunami, you came to this a bit later than most, but how do you see things for those of you that haven't seen your opinion about those things yet?
Again, as always, disclaimer, I'm a filthy casual, and I'm disgusted by it, and it's obvious that the wokes have decided on a new target, and this is the target that they want to go after.
Amazing, yeah. We just are so happy that all the femininity that could be explored, could be made to flourish, like the Sisters of Silence and on Battle and some Inquisitors and whoever really. The Astra Militarum doesn't matter. They just don't have their chance to shine because now we have the total opposite of what a female character should be. So it's just so great paradox. So yeah. Pio, what do you think about the female custodians?
I mean, we could have get better female characters. Instead, we got the shield captain Steliocontos.
I mean, to be honest, one of them also looks like Goobertown hobbies. Like, the face is the fucking same. This is pretty much men in a wig, and Games Workshop is telling you that they are women. It is it is not even like out of the question. They are very shitty at modeling faces. They are even shittier at painting minis. There are people that are a lot more talented at doing that in general. But the amount of work they put just to make it look like some of the worst models I've ever seen in my life is actually embarrassing. Even like I'm a Blood Angel fan. I was pretty much just destroyed when I saw the new models for the Sanguinary Guard, and like the Sanguinary Guard models were pretty much the equivalent of what if we took Handsome Squidward and made it into a Sanguinary Guard armor. They were very extremely shitty looking, but they were most of all boring. In this one, instead, the design is a bit too crowded in the sense that if you look at it, there is even too much detail on most of the stuff where it really shouldn't belong. Like, you don't focus on some good details. There is so much stuff that is detailed that you don't know actively where to look. Except the worst part, which is the heads. So the entire design of the armor is fucking confusing. And then you focus on what is the only thing that is not over-exaggerated in details. The fucking ugly-ass heads. So...
Oh yeah, that was a lot. What you described here reminds me of pretty much what we could call in my country a gypsy style, which is very overly crowded in elements and a lot of other things, which doesn't make things better really. Yeah. And by the way, there's many people in the chat. We're going to read some of the comments when we are finished with particular section of the conversation. So I'm just gonna read a bit of the comments. That's how we do here, to pay attention to the people whenever that's possible, of course. And guys, of course, feel free to support if you like. So, Pontius, you did do a great video about why female custodians shouldn't exist like 1 year ago. Now, what do you think right now, how much more they shouldn't exist?
not even a year ago, like we did another section of that video, like pretty much what we called in the YouTubers video, why female custodians shouldn't exist 2.0, because there is a little thing that people do not understand. The female custodians video we made came out before they even made the tweet about them ever existing, because always existing, because that video had pretty much the production span of the night of the leak happened, the day after the video was made. Like, if you want to see the difference between zero preparation and a month of preparation between videos, you can just see the difference between that video and our female Space Marines video. It is pretty much completely night and day. But it is actually very much funnier that we made another section in the video of the YouTubers that is actually being used on Twitter to explain why they shouldn't exist. And when you realize that by saying that they always existed by lore, they pretty much condemned them to extinction long before even the Great Crusade entered into like the main phases of it, because there is a thing to realize. If female custodians, by opinion of Games Workshop, have always existed, that means that from the times of when like they took the first sons of the nobles to make the custodians, they were also taking the daughters. In the post-apocalyptic wasteland that was Unification Wars Earth. How in the fuck did they make like 50 of these, let alone 10,000?
Yeah, it kind of seems like the custodians now are a part of the war machine, recruits, whatever. That is how they refer to them at the end of that Q&A that they did in the war.
No, the Q&A is completely fucking nonsensical. Like, it is a complete and utter fucking lie, and I disbanded it like claim by claim, let alone like everything. I can actually go and recover the answer I gave, because like I saved it. Let me find it just pretty fast. I have my cats doing some damage, because like they go point by point until you realize that what they are saying makes no sense. Like, okay, their first point was, oh yeah, the custodians at the beginning. Like, I will just read it. Some Battalion the Custodians made from the Sons of Terra noble houses. Some of them are, yes, the Emperor is all about symbolism and authority. So those pre-unification patriarchal houses that passed their kingdoms down to firstborn sons had those sons taken and remade as guardians of the Emperor. That is still true, but that was not the only source of recruitment, on which I answered. The Custodes were recruited from nobles exclusively. That was their lore until 9th edition, when they added the stupid part about Custodes taking back to Terra from missions promising candidates, which doesn't work because the candidates are toddlers, and I'm curious how a toddler can impress a custodian to the point of making him take him back to Terra. Even then, it will be an extreme rarity. Even then, the chances of one even becomes a custodian are so low they are underground. And they were also political prisoners to ensure the compliance of noble families of Terra. There is zero symbolism with the existence of the custodians. They were literally a political and material weapon. The custodians were not made from the sons of nobles only because, oh yeah, do you know, we have a very elite military force. We should use only rich people for it. No, they were made from that both because usually the nobles that were left on Terra were actually some of the most powerful warlords. So they probably had like some of the least exposure to the dangers of the Unification Wars. So they were probably some of the least mutated. And at the same time, to ensure the compliance of those same warlords. If your son becomes a custodian, yeah, you're pretty much fucked, because at that point you either swear loyalty to the Emperor, or he will probably send your own son to kill you. That is the point. Other than that, they also say something that is very funny, which is, but that was not the only source of recruitment. Other methods might have been equally overt, others far more secretive. To which I responded, other methods might is not a lore explanation. It is an headcanon.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't theorizing. You have the lore there. It either exists or it doesn't. There isn't theorizing if there isn't even the nudge to it. Then there is also the fact that they ended with noble daughters could have also been taken, and at some point you run out of noble houses. Even after you have conquered all of Terra, the inexorable war machine of the Imperium still requires a constant churn of recruits, which is complete and utter bullshit for the Custodians, because they are probably the most elite force of 40k that is exposed to the least amount of battles ever. But to which I responded once again, Noble daughters might have been taken if the custodians had the IQ of a sandpiker, maybe, and weren't aware of how it would impact the recruitment pool. And they are also implying that they are stupid enough to destroy the recruitment pool to replenish their numbers instead of slowly doing it without destroying it. It is an entire asinine argument. Like, there is a reason it took them until the end of M41 to be back at full strength, like we learn in Watchers of the Throne, the Emperor's Legion. They are pretty much just lying in those Q&A. Oh no, yeah, they could have just said, we wanted them to have boobs, and it would have been more real to the lore than they tried to be about it.
Oh my god. You just gave like the most detailed explanation about the Q&A that I ever heard. I mean, me and Tsunami did a pretty good job of dismantling it to pieces, but you are basically like a tsunami wave, like, you know.
Yeah, but like, because the point is, after the Emperor was gone, the only reason there was such an efficient amount of work put into the Custodians during the Great Crusade was that the Emperor was overseeing their production. The Emperor was the only one that could understand to a genetical level how to rewrite the genetics of a human being to the point of making him into a Custodian. Because there is a little distinction to be made between Astartes and Custodes, which is Astartes are artificially engineered, Custodians are artificially evolved. It is two different concepts. The Astartes are pretty much the equivalent, like it was explained in TTS, of somebody being taken and being cast into a mold. They were artificially made into a weapon. The Custodians instead weren't. Their entire production process, for how arcane and unknown it is, pretty much is described as them being evolved to the next stage of human evolution. For all we know, they don't even have additional organs. They are just so much more advanced than a normal human that they are even superior to the genetically engineered weapons of the Adeptus Astartes.
Yeah, sure. So that is that is why GW cannot just say, well, recruits, machine, like what? Like, since when every son and now daughter that will be taken is eligible and suitable to become a custody? Because the impression and the information from before was totally different, that like almost nobody at all, like 0.0 whatever percent, is ever actually good enough to be a custody. That's ridiculously small number. Otherwise,
it's even worse than that, actually, because technically in my first video about the Custodes, I made a mistake on the calculation. But keep in mind, the mistake was not in favor of Games Workshop. If anything, it was it was not against Games Workshop, but it was in favor of Games Workshop. Because the problem is, the Emperor created the 10,000 Custodians in the first 200 years of the Great Crusade, or the final years of the Unification Wars, if we want to extend it a bit. So he made 10,000 of this, and that was the highest quantity they ever reached. Like, there weren't more than that, so probably that was the limit the recruitment could upkeep at that time. And even then, Terra at that point was already an ecumenopolis. He made this in 200 years. Then you realize that 9,000 of them died in the War in the Webway during the Horus Heresy, so this means that there were barely over 1,000 left after the Horus Heresy ended, and it took them until the end of M41 to replenish their number back to 10,000. So it took them 10,000 years to make 9,000 of this. If we go by median mathematics, that is less than a Custodian every year.
Oh yeah, that's actually amazingly low number. Yeah, that's crazy. So all of a sudden they cannot just say that now we're gonna take women, and by the way, those women could also make more custodies, but let's not go there for no reason at all and just say that women just can be custodies, and totally it's totally ridiculous and useless. I mean, if one woman can have at least 2 or 3 kids and they become custodies somehow, I mean, not even they, I mean, even one kid, it's no. I'm just lost in their logic. Basically, it's crazy.
No, but the logic is even worse, because they didn't even make it in the best way possible to avoid the majority of damage, which was they existed during the Great Crusade. No, their literal opinion is that they were there from the beginning. From the first Custodians created, some were women. How many fucking people were nobles, and how big were noble houses during the Terran Wars of Unification? Terra was a wasteland. After they started taking women, probably 2 generations would have lasted to make Custodians. Not even. Like, how in the fuck did they make 10,000? They should have been able to make 100 at that point if you are taking women directly from the beginning. Because, like, taking them from the Great Crusade period, like, Terra was already in a monopolis. You can have noble families. Each noble family is hundreds of people large. But during the Unification Wars, you're pretty much dealing with Mad Max kind of environment. How many nobles were there? How many women can you spare in a post-apocalypse?
Just doesn't make any sense. And by the way, have you started the new book, Ashes of the Imperium?
Yeah, I saw the citation to the female custodian that is there, and everyone dislikes it. Like, even the moment she was introduced, the first thing she does is, like, break the facade of a custodian, and you can actually see that she's sad for what happened. And I'm like, okay, don't fucking try to make me empathize with a custodian. Custodians are so fucking far from humans that they shouldn't even feel sad. Their equivalent of depression will be complete numbness. Like, when you take a custodian, like, custodians are so far removed from humanity that even Astartes seem human in comparison. So
yeah, sure, but it's really even worse because it's a woman. So basically, they're making this woman custody. They're presenting her even worse because they are now feeding the stereotype that women are so more emotional. And even when she's a custodian, she's still more emotional. I'm like, what are you saying? This makes no sense to the lore of what the custodians are supposed to be. This is a travesty. You know, it's a total insult towards, well, female characters and custodians at the same time. So they're not doing anybody favors. Plus, she has dark skin somehow. But that's not actually what I wanted to say. There is a part of the book, I haven't finished it yet. I'm actually repeating chapters to capture particular moments. So later on, there is a part where they explain how they're trying to make Chaos Space Marines. And although it takes usually so much time, years, all of a sudden the process is reduced to weeks even. I mean, first it was months, then it was weeks. And at the end of all of that explanation, the character says, we can do it in days. Just give us like more days. I'm like, what? What did you say? How is days? How is that possible?
The fastest level they ever brought it, following the Codexes of the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy, which are the black and red books of the Horus Heresy, was less than a year. Days is a bit exaggerated. We are not dealing with Korax raptors that could be just made into superhuman warriors in a matter of weeks. Just going, yeah, we can make Space Marines in days is a complete and utter betrayal of what a Space Marine is. Space Marines are super elite forces that take the time to be, like, trained from the ground up, both, like, genetically and physically and mentally. You cannot just make one and call it a Space Marine. By that logic, an Ogryn is a Space Marine.
Yeah, I mean, this sounded like something out of the Space King lore. You know, how they just pump stuff into them and they just blow up. This is how it sounded when I listened to that part of the book. So this is crazy. And of course, the excuse was that they're gonna be nuts. So that totally makes it better if they're super nuts. You know, they're defective.
Ogrins are better.
The Charonite Ogrins were superior to Space Marines in so many ways, but, like, generally it is more of a problem of concept. Games Workshop seems to have lost the plot on what even their own story is capable of. There is a reason everyone is complaining about the lack of suspension of disbelief in many universes. There are, like, the problem is not that, like, it is some kind of arbitrary rule that people are imposing on Games Workshop. It is rules they have created for their own universe, and now they are breaking them. There is a way I always explain it about this kind of stuff, which is a good writer bends the rules. A bad writer rewrites them.
Exactly, yeah. That's pretty good.
I mean, it's not even that they lost the plot. They are not even bothering to find it anymore. They just continue to write even more stuff on top of other stuff, and it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, and there is also, like, a bunch of problems with even these models. People have noticed that both, like, the Sentinel blades and the Custodian spears are missing a trigger, and I have never seen this community try to find an excuse for Games Workshop hardware for what is, in all a mistake. There are people going, oh yeah, no, these are Custodian spears. They just twist the handle to fire. Okay, now I will give you an example. Try to, like, take a normal stick, a normal long stick. Try to hit somebody with it while having to twist one end of it. Good luck. Like, generally, the custodian weapons are defined as both being close range and long range combat, because they are melee weapons with weapons added on it that can shoot. If you need to twist one end to shoot, you cannot fight in melee with it. Because you are either shooting or fighting in melee. You cannot do both. Other than that, there were people, oh no, yeah, you have to understand, like, removing that logic doesn't work for the Sentinel Blade, because the Sentinel Blade has a sword handle. What the fuck do you twist? Or do you need to squish it to shoot it? But anyway.
Yeah, squish it.
Like, other than that, like, there is people that are trying in vain to find an excuse, which is, oh no, yeah, but you have to understand, they're custodian weapons. They work with mind impulses, which betrays a total lack of how mind impulse works when it comes to this kind of weapons in 40k. Mind impulse activated weapons are a thing, but they are usually equipped on the armor of a Space Marine. They are not external weapons, for a very simple reason to explain. When it comes to Space Marines, this is more of an example, but I don't know how custodians now connect to their armors, because it is never explained, but for what we know, they are a lot more advanced technology that could, like, arrive to nanotechnology, but we don't know. Like, technically, by lore, they shouldn't have, like, connection to the armor that are external. They don't have a black carapace. But let's go with the logic of the Space Marines first. The only reason wrist-mounted weapons, like the ones of the Grey Knights when it comes to the Storm Bolters, or even the Alarus Terminators of the Custodians when it comes to the grenade launchers, they have wrist-mounted work, is that they are directly connected to the nervous system of the Marine that is using them, or the Custodian that is using them. Like, the main reason Space Marines and Custodians have the need to be connected to their armor is to pretty much send to the armor the same nervous impulse that they use to move. Pretty much the logic is this. If we give to Marines that, for how superhuman they are, need, like, still the time to move the armor around, like forcing the servos to move, we are actually impairing our best force. So how do we fix that? The Black Carapace. The Black Carapace connects directly to the armor plating of a Marine, and what happens with it is, the moment a Marine sends the impulse to his arm, through his brain, pretty much the nervous impulse to his arm to move, that impulse is sent also to the armor, that moves the arm together with the armor together with the arm. You're pretty much moving both at the same time. It is why it is described as being a second skin for the Marines, because it is exactly that. It is reading the movement of the Marine as he's thinking them, so that he can move faster with it. That is why that kind of weapons that work with mind impulse work, because let's take like a Grey Knight Stormbolter. The Grey Knight will raise his arm, think, shoot, his nervous system will tell the weapon to shoot. You cannot do that with weapons that are not connected directly to your armor, like a spear, or a sword, or a shield. So, what is the point here? Like, are we getting, like, to the point that they need to have, like, a connection from the spear directly into their brain to think shoot? Or maybe I just need to get, like, the wrong pronoun, it's ma'am, and they will just start get triggered, and that will cause the spear to shoot. How does that work?
That's the safe word. It's ma'am and should work. I mean, if this was not previously in the lore for that particular custody weapon that's legendary, there is no excuse that this trigger is freaking not there. But yeah,
I don't really get the hate. In the Imperium men, they don't care if you're male or female, you're a cog in the machine. As long as you're loyal to the Emperor and Holy Terra, that's what matters. When you're a guardsman, maybe, not when you're a custodian. The point is that by the logic Games Workshop has established, if this woman we have in front of us, woman between giant quotations, if this man in a wig we have in front of us is actually canon, custodians shouldn't exist. Because from the recruitment pool, they actually lack the number to be recruited to the point that they can use women.
Yeah. To say
it is not a matter of, if it was a disposable force that you can just throw at anything, that would be another discussion. This is literally the most elite fucking military force of the Imperium men. If you think they will go, oh no, yeah, we can have women in our number, that will kill our recruitment pool, because we recruit only from the nobles, but yeah, we can have women. You give more credit, like, to the retardness of the fucking custodians than you think. Because they will need to be fucking stupid to do something like that.
Plus, again, it actually diminishes the yin and yang connection between the Custodes and Sisters of Silence. If you read the Chainsword article that I sent you earlier, he explained that very well. Because this whole point of female Custodes, when it comes to how the woke view things, is that women should have inclusion, but his point was that this is exactly what is against inclusion, and inclusion has to have some quality and meaning to it, otherwise it's no use and it shouldn't be there. And we all already have all the inclusion that we need, and it has meaning and substance, like the Sisters of Battle and of Silence and all of that. I mean, everybody else that are there and that are women for a reason, that's what I mean. So in this case, this totally diminishes this connection between the Custodes and Sisters of Silence. And yeah, it destroys everything and spits on the, on the qualities that make female custodians, female custodians by this point is like, it's like a sentence that I have to try to delete off my brain, like on purpose. Custodes! So, yeah, Custodes bring something to the table that only they can. Sisters of Silence do the same in their own turn. So by doing this, well, we already saw in the animation, if you watch that, in the Tides, how they spoke and all of that. It just is not the same. If that Custodian was a man, it will be just so much better. You will see this dynamic, you'll see the uniqueness between the two, and now you don't see that. You just see a butched, huge something that should be a woman, but really your brain tells you that it isn't, and an actual really shapely and good-looking woman in a golden armor as well, and you're like, what is this? And why is it so bad? I mean, that's what your brain says.
The problem with the animation of Tides is not even like the fact that the custodian was an asshole. The problem is how much of an asshole it was. The problem is when you do it with a man, everyone hates the man. But in this case, because they did it with a woman, it's actually way worse. Because it falls once again under the trope of the bitchy girl boss. Like generally, it is a problem of the man does it, he's an asshole. The woman does it in any piece of media, the writers think it empowers her. Everyone else just rolls their eyes because, oh my god, there is a woman in a position of power that she's a bitch. Okay, as usual. Because it is exactly what it was. Because the writers think that the way to make a female character authoritative is to make it an asshole man. And I don't get how they think that works. Like, I'm not saying that the custodian should have been more, sensible, but he should have read the situation better. You cannot just go on a planet that is being defended by oath, by space marines, and tell them, oh, no, renounce your oath, shut the fuck up, listen to me. That's not how it works. The Astartes will happily go fuck yourself. They don't give a fuck who you are. They don't give a fuck you are a custodian. They will openly disobey you. They have done it countless times. So there is a level of hate the Custodians have for the Astartes that is justified, generally, because the Astartes are, in the eyes of the Custodians, a failed weapon. They are the reason the Imperium is in the situation it is. They are the reason of the Horus Heresy. They are the reason the Emperor is on the throne and everything. But there is also to understand at one point that they have their own kind of pride, and they will not see that pride being shot on without doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, this is just fitting the stereotype, and this is absolutely horrible for female characters as well, and whatever that episode was, honestly. Now, we can blab about that a lot, but we do have to address the super chats before we move on. So, Tsunami, if you can awake, yes, thank you. Please read the super chats, and then we're gonna go some comments, and we can move on. So yeah, I wanna pay attention to the audience, and welcome to everybody that are from the Pontius channel. I'm super happy to see you here. So, Tsunami, take it away. The super chats first.
All right, we kick it off with you gifting 5 memberships. Welcome to the new members. We've got Abe the Man. I haven't ordered any of these models yet. I still want a refund for 5. Thank you. Chikai for a 5 says you should always question the motives of anyone so keen to put women on the front line.
Well, that's kind of sexist, though. That's totally. I mean, let's not forget, guys, that women characters have an amazing role in anything if they're written well, just like male characters. But you just have to write things correct. Also, remember what happened before 2016. I keep repeating that we had everything normal. We had representation without having representation. I mean, we didn't think about those things. We had strong male characters, strong female characters. Nobody was a Mary Sue. Nobody was a ma'am. We had black, panic, whatever, who cares? We had everything, nobody was complaining, and everything was organic. That's the point. So you can have everything and be quality, and there's no need of factual whatever. I mean, what the woke actually is achieving here is that we are becoming, if we're not careful, we all can become just like the woke and be actually sexist and actually racist, because that is what the woke mindset does. If you weren't sexist or racist, you will become that. If you're just emotional and you just keep hating stuff, and because your face has been rubbed so hard with so much bullcrap that you're now starting to be conditioned into thinking the opposite of what the woke is pretending to not like. But anyway, so let's continue to now. Yeah.
Unreliable Jarkinson, or Jarkinson. Why is the Italian man so angry? But happy.
That's normal.
From Iceland. Okay. For an ISK 750, I'm not sure what that currency is. And we're all caught up with super chats.
Okay, some comments real quick, because there are too many. We can't read everything, just what stands out to you.
Let's see. Lots of hellos. Mr. Mutual. From a certain angle, the shield captain looks like it has boob armor, and it's disgusting. It needs to be purged in the name of the Emperor, says Mr. Muleta-tube. No,
I mean, if you look at the less decorated ones, you can gladly see that there is boob armor. So yeah, they tried to be the least sexist possible, and then they went and put boob armor in it, and that made angry actually the side of the woke, because they're like, oh no, why do they have boob armor? Because you want to signal they're woman, and yeah, pretty much.
Everybody hates them.
Yeah, they made something that actually upset both sides. That takes like talent. Last time I saw that was when TTS died.
Yeah, that's why, because I mean, it's because Games Workshop are so freaking confused. They don't know which direction they should go. I mean, the custody from the Tides was a 40k custody, and she looked exactly like the male custodies in armor and proportions, everything. There was no
There is actually a funny story about that. Unfortunately, I cannot name names because I don't want to bring this person trouble. But at the time when the Tides series came out, I was under apprenticeship with a very involved 3D modeler in various projects, Hollywood projects. He worked on various series and movies that where he was pretty much a lead and a supervisor in various roles, especially in 3D modeling and sculpting. When I showed him a screenshot of the female custodian in Tides, he didn't take even 2 seconds. He just said, "This is a man with a female face."
Of course, I mean, it doesn't take like huge intelligence for that. It's just normal brain function, basically.
No, but they didn't start delineating everything. Jaw shape, the general shape of the face, body, shoulders, and everything else. His theory is pretty much that custodian was a male, and then he was changed mid-production into a female. And instead of redoing the entire model, they just changed the face.
I get it. Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, they transed her.
Absolutely. Okay, we have another super chat real quick.
Okay. Got Steel Striker for a 5. Thank you. At this point, we need to make our own settings and make it the way we want it. Don't spend more money on GW, and above all else, make them hurt in the wallet.
Exactly. What I propose is that basically, guys, if you don't like the female custodies, and if you're here, you probably don't, just don't buy whatever you don't like. Basically, how you would do with anything else, you know. If you don't like particular movies, you don't go to them, you don't buy them, you don't support that particular thing that you don't like. That's very important, because if you buy the things that you do like from GW and show them that, well, okay, this is good, but then you don't buy what you don't like and it doesn't sell, it's gonna become just like it was before in the beginning, the late 80s, 87, 90, whatever. Whenever they were trying to see if female miniatures are gonna sell at all, they saw that they're not gonna sell, so they stopped it. So people voted with their wallets, and they continued with what was actually good for the people. So that's
yeah,
how
but
you
in
vote.
this case, they tried to do some weird thing. Pretty much, there is a theory going around that I was actually explained even by people that are a lot more into models than me, because I don't buy models from like the last 5 years. I'm more of a lore guy. My pile of shame is already big enough; it doesn't need more. But generally, what the theory is this pretty much. The models, especially these female ones, actually come as a variant inside of an entire Custodes box. The bits to make it to make them female are not sold separately. Like, they're given directly into this box as kit bashing bits, together with the helmets, with various other bits and pieces. So the theory of people is they are included into this box and not as a separate upgrade kit, because Games Workshop wants to hide how much of a failure this change to the lore and the models actually is, by including them in a box that actually has all the pieces to make them all male, if you want. Pretty much going for, if nobody notices that these pieces fail, they will never notice that female custodians are so disliked.
Oh, okay, but if you want to generally not support the Custodes line and just play with your old Custodes, you can actually do that. That's what I meant, yeah.
It's the insidious nature of it, though. They're just trying to slide it in there and hope no one notices.
Yeah, well, we did notice. Like, just see the
for sure,
dislikes
yeah.
and likes ratio on the video, the Custode video. It's actually pretty cool because now it reached 10,000. So it's like the 10,000 custodians are standing against these abominations right here. Just want to say real quick, thank you so much to Steve. And that's all I'm gonna say. Nobody knows who is Steve. But thanks so much to Steve, who just gifted me 10 in PayPal. Thank you so much from the One Romasul to all guys. Thank you.
Pio, you see why we should start streaming soon, so you can buy more Pio starch with the donations. Anyway, the point is there is something that many people have not considered, which you can see only, admittedly, like once you have a bit of a mastery of the 40k lore. But there was a dichotomy that separated the all-male custodians and the Sisters of Silence that not many people know about. The Sisters of Silence, as a military force, were made for one simple thing: dealing with the warp. Anything warp related, the demons, psychers, especially psychers and rogue psychers. It is why the Sisters of Silence are the ones deployed on the black ships that go around the galaxy to collect the psychers for the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, for feeding the Emperor and the Golden Throne and everything. Because being the fact that they are blanks, they completely eliminate warp influence on themselves and others that are around them. They pretty much emit an anti-warp shield. So the main dichotomy between the Sisters of Silence and the Custodians, while obviously not comparable on military power as such, because for how extremely strong and capable the Sisters of Silence are, they are still only human women. The Custodians are super genetically evolved killing machines. They are not even comparable on a level of strength. But there is a thing the Custodians don't have: Gnolls or Psychers. They have zero way to deal with anything warp related. Because for those that don't know, while you can still technically, by word of various authors, even wound a demon or a warp entity while you are not like psychically sensitive, the only way to truly kill one is if you are Psyker. In fact, like even during the Horus Heresy, because Rogal Dorn had like imprisoned all of the librarians of the chapter on the Phalanx, that ended up saving the Phalanx when it was like completely invaded by demons. Because all the Psychers of the Legion were there to fight them. But yeah, generally what ends up happening is that you can see the dichotomy between the two forces, which is the Custodians deal with anything physical. The Sisters of Silence deal with everything immaterium. So at that point you have the extremely strong warrior but that cannot hurt anything that is warp related, and the slightly weaker warrior but can actually kill everything warp related. And they work together because they pretty much complemented each other in a way that made the army sustainable and a complete threat to everything, materium or immaterium. It didn't matter. Even if they had like just some Custodians and a squad of Sisters of Silence, at that point, that squad, that military force, is capable of dealing with anything that comes around. It doesn't matter if it is human, demon, possessed psyker, or anything. Like, the Sisters of Silence were powerful enough that in great numbers they could even corner Magnus the Red, one of the most powerful psychers to ever exist. Now, with female Custodians, that dichotomy is completely gone. Because while the Sisters of Silence are still useful, now the spotlight is more on the female Custodians. Because obviously, oh no, the female army that fights on the same level of the custodians and actually helps them into the fight has a unique ability the custodians don't have. Oh, who cares about that? Just look at the woman custodians.
Yeah, it's the yin and yang thing that now it's missing. Like I said, that's the issue. Okay, I totally forgot my thoughts because we are jumping from one thing to another, but I did wanted to ask you one particular thing that's kind of connected to the Astartes in this case, not the Custodes, but it's just a thing from the book again. We were discussing with Chainsword 40k if that is an actual retcon or it's not. So at one point of the book, they're explaining that after the Horus Heresy, the Astartes became basically deprived from their individuality. They became a lot more automatic in terms of how they would act and think. They will not have so much free will, so to speak, just less individuality, more of generic personalities, whatever, just so they can be very effective but not be that much human as before. But the problem also is that whenever I read the Horus Heresy before that or the 40k books, the Astartes were always depicted the same way in terms of how they were as soldiers, how they taught, how they spoke to each other. They cared about each other for the most part. If somebody falls on the battlefield, whatever. So they were always depicted in that same way. So there is this contradiction between what is said that they're supposed to be and how they're actually written all the time. So what do you think about that particular part?
In my opinion, it is utter bullshit. The only thing I can see make it to make it make sense is that they introduced a lot stricter mind indoctrination. But even then, no, Astartes have never lost their individuality. Even one of my favorite books, and that actually PO and the book club finished reading after 4 months. Finally, they finished reading one book. Was Rin's World. That is one of my favorite 40k books of all time, and it's probably one of the books where the Astartes show the majority of their humanity the most. There is a part that is actually very telling, which is at one point there is a captain that is sacrificing himself to pretty much keep a bunch of fortifications and civilians safe. And what happens is, he gives the order to one of his marines, the only one that had escaped together with him, to close the gate, because he was in Terminator armor, he was a lot slower than the others. He knew he wouldn't have made it into the gate before the orcs arrived slamming in and starting to kill everyone. So he pretty much gave a single order: close the gate. His own space marines, including the guy I arrived with, didn't want to close the gate because they knew that if they closed the gate, he would have died out there because there was no way to save him. But at the same time, his body responded to the order even without his own impulse. He tried to stop himself from closing the gate, but he did it anyway because of the mind indoctrination. By going, oh no, the Marines are now we want them less individual. Bullshit generally. One of the main things that makes Marine interesting is their individuality. If in a book they go, oh no, we want Marines a lot less independent, a lot less human, to have a lot less of a personality, you are pretty much asking for problems. You are pretty much asking to make your own books about Space Marines boring as fuck.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't make sense. Why would they say that they are a certain way, but then write them the totally opposite? It's just weird, and that's books, so many books. By this point, years upon years of individuality and particular Space Marines that are legendary, but they still want to tell us that they changed so much after the Horus Heresy and now they're not the same. How? I don't get it.
Yeah, it is a problem that usually many writers end up wrestling with, which is, this thing has changed. How? Can you give a single example? No, it has only changed. Okay, so I don't notice it. You are not giving me examples. If anything, the other books are contradicting you, so you are lying to me openly.
Yeah,
recently, most of the time, it's not even, this thing changed. No, it's always been like this.
Yeah, it has always been like this. This can work on some levels, but when it comes to other stuff like technology, one of the reasons I don't get why when they, for example, made the Rogal Dorn heavy tank, they made it, oh no, it was always part of the guard. Couldn't you just write in the notes that it was already discovered STC from recently and they started producing it? Was it that hard to explain it narrative? No, it was always there. Where the fuck was it during the Horus Heresy? The Great Crusade? Any of the battles? You have written 200 books on it. Like, can they stop going back and rediscuss the foundations of their own fucking universe for 5 minutes and behave like writers that can include stuff into their stories without breaking what came before?
Yeah, basically there was a very good explanation how the lore is written, how they are talked to each other. I mean, the authors behind the scenes. You read that, Tsunami? A few weeks ago, I think, and it was basically like one guy offers something, an idea, and the other guy is like, no, maybe not this, but we can't do this because we already did that. And then the other guy says, well, but I want to do this. And the other guy says, no, you can't because this, but then something else happens. It was very well explained how everything there is an actual chaos. And that's why they just try to clean their hands, like to wash their hands with the explanation that, it's all in the whoever is telling the story, and it's been 10,000 years and nobody actually knows what happened. So we're just going to make stuff up. Yes.
No, that is complete and utter bullshit, even all the same. Like, when I made the video on the other YouTubers, I explained this was actually maybe in part on me, but in part also on the audience, because they misunderstood what I was trying to say. There is the part about the concept of the unreliable narrator and when it can work naturally into a story like of 40k in general. But what people didn't understand is that I was explaining only how a narrator can be unreliable, not when the plot makes a narrator unreliable, because there are very many ways to make narration into a book something you cannot trust, like time that has passed, illusion of the warps, schizophrenia, drugs. They are like one of the main things that you can think about when you cannot really trust the recounting of somebody. But when the story takes place in the present and it is being narrated by an omniscient narrator, there is nothing to discuss. There is nothing to doubt. It is established lore. Like, the people that think that all of 40k is questionable, all is interpretable, all the lore can be rediscussed because it is all unreliable, it is all like propaganda of the Imperium of Men. And then you show them like Rin's World once again. Okay, why the fuck in a book of the Imperium left in that the entire fortress monastery of a single Space Marine chapter blew up because a weapon malfunctioned? What a shitty propaganda piece to leave into the Imperium, that their own weapon killed half the chapter. Wow. But yeah, like, generally, it comes more to the fact that people really misunderstand how the rules of a universe work. A universe doesn't have to be realistic, but it must still obey the rules established into it, which is a thing that I think the writers of 40k don't even have a notion of. Because like, there are people like Gav Thorpe that actually think that 40k has no canon, that every interpretation is on the same level, that it exists in the mind of the people enjoying the universe in every shape and form. And I'm like, okay, why the fuck should I buy the books then? I can just make it up. My Little Pony is now 40k. That is canon.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you work as a writer. Don't you have even like the most basic notion of narrative coherency? I am a fucking chemist, and even I know how to write better than this.
Yeah, we all know about what he said. It was horrible and hilarious. And I think Luton mentioned that, but that was like maybe 6 months ago. I don't remember. But yeah, there are so many things that happened since then. But yeah, Luton tried to excuse that, and I was like, "What are you doing, Luton? Like, why the heck you got so many videos?"
I have still admiration for Luetin, because like, he is very outspoken. He is extremely like good at the lore, at least better than 99% of the rest. He still makes his own mistakes. Everybody does. The difference that I try to make in my video is that like, no lore tuber is infallible. There are people that make mistakes. We have made mistakes in the past. Nothing major. Don't go think that our videos are invalidated. Small details that we got wrong, that probably changed nothing, but still we recognize that, and he has done those too. The difference is that for all the respect I have for him, the video on the Terminus Decree retcon he did felt like an hour of coping. It was not like something that followed a logic. He was, in his own word, trying to justify the retcon in any way possible, and even tried to justify it with the unreliable narrator excuse for a codex that doesn't have a narrator, and if anything, if it is written from the point of view of a narrator, it's even more unreliable, because like the retcon in that case that he was trying to discuss was the retcon of the Terminus Decree that got changed. They explained what it was. It made no fucking sense. It still makes no fucking sense because of the Talisman of the Seven Hammers. Long story short, if you think that if the Emperor wakes up and gets off the throne that you can re-put it back, you can put him back into it, you don't know of the Talisman of the Seven Hammers, because the moment the Emperor gets off the throne or dies, you can say goodbye to the Golden Throne and Terra in a giant psychic nuke. But anyway, he tried to justify it like by talking about a reliable narrator, maybe a scribe, maybe an administratum clerk. Okay, and how the fuck does he know what is written on it? How? Not even the people that have it in custody know. Not even the guy that could open it knows what's written inside. And you want to tell me a narrator inside the universe knew in some way? Fucking coping, man. 1 hour of coping, which is what in the end brought him in that video. Because really, the lore is going to shit. And it seems only the people that truly care about 40k, which are almost none of the YouTubers on lore, care about it.
Well, we all should, because if we don't, then the woke win and we lose everything. So we gotta do something about that. I mean, we gotta speak about it. That's why we gather, so we can express what is wrong with this. But before we continue, we do have to address the super chat, because it was like at least 25 minutes ago. So Tsunami, if you can read the super chat, and thank you so much for the 50 POL, and I have no idea what that is, but thank you so much.
Zizak J. Worst thing for me personally is that all humans were a tool to be discarded by the Emperor when deed was finished. To quote Jengatai Khan about War Master, this female custodian should never happen.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Wonder Woman salute. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, I totally had another question to ask you, but first, actually, how far are you in that new book, Ashes of the Imperium?
Oh, I'm not reading it. Like removing the female Custodes thing, I only went and read like so many excerpts just to see whatever the fuck was happening. But generally, at this point, I do not read for recreation with 40k. The videos at this point require so much attention and so much reading that I end up just reading for the videos. In fact, like next video we are working on. I've not started the research yet, but I know it will take a long time. Is on the Damocles Golf Crusade. And yeah, pretty much every video at this point takes the good part of a month to prepare and write, so I don't read recreationally anymore.
Okay, I totally get it. I mean, this book is important, but if you get to it, if you make a video about it, then it's gonna make sense to actually go through it. And you know, those books are 15 hours long because I consume them only in audio form. So imagine 15 hours. 15 hours. And a lot of that is filler. This time, not that much as usual. This time is actually things are happening. There's some interesting conversations between Gilliman and Rogal Dorn, but again, I have like 9 more hours to go, so who knows what the hell's gonna happen. The thing is that the leaks were true about female custody and some of the other things, but I have not gone through it all. But yeah, by this point, I'm also doing what you're doing, which is reading a book if I have to do something. And yeah, that's how it is.
It is actually very funny that they tried to insert these custodians into the Horus Heresy books and the Horus Heresy wargame, because like the models are technically like working for both the 40k game and the Horus Heresy game, when Horus Heresy players are renowned to be some of the worst fucking lore experts that you can find around, and some of the most heinous like followers of the lore in general. Like if you want to see people really angry about this kind of stuff, look at Horus Heresy players. They are the ones that will tell Games Workshop, fuck you for the slightest of inconveniences, let alone this fucking warning.
Yeah, for quite some time ago, they were afraid of Horus Heresy players. I respect those guys.
Horus Heresy players are pretty much the equivalent of real-life 40k hooligans.
Well, yeah, but most Horus Heresy players are even worse than us.
Like you think we are like extremely precise and extremely annoying when it comes to like following the lore. You've never met a tabletop Horus Heresy player. You will think we are angels compared to them.
I haven't, but here's a great argument and great in quotation marks that I got on one of my videos. So basically, prepare yourself, Pontius. So if you don't play the tabletop, and you don't play at the tabletop, and I don't play the tabletop, then you have no right. I just can't even say it. You have no right to opinion because you don't play the tabletop. And I'm like, what is that has to do with lore knowledge? What I just can't. So yeah. So basically we don't know anything. So yeah, because we don't play the tabletop. I have Custodes that I painted myself. I still have a box of
They were my favorite
patrol.
faction.
What?
They were my favorite faction. Where in the past.
Yeah, they are still my favorite faction, but I have that. One of my fans gifted it to me. I'm super grateful. The point is, I'm just gonna stick with painting them whenever I can and enjoying them, looking at them. I have the Emperor of Mankind from Timu, because nobody else is gonna make that except Major Kill. And but I can only afford the Timu kind. And that's it. I'm gonna paint the Emperor. I'm gonna be super happy. So yeah, apparently we don't know anything. We just don't.
This is unfortunately an argument. Like there are people that call us, especially me, like after the YouTuber's video, an elitist asshole, completely misrepresenting what I meant in that video when it comes to the discussion between like 40k enjoyer and lore tourist. Generally, 40k is a three-part medium. There is the novels, and there is the lore, there is the minis, and there is the video games. They can be connected, but every single side technically makes you a 40k fan. I collect minis. Sometimes I even paint them when life doesn't give me anything else to procrastinate that with. But like generally, the only playing the tabletop and being considered a 40k player only if you play the tabletop is the way real elitist assholes behave in this sphere. You can be a 40k fan, a true 40k fan, by just enjoying one of the three mediums or more. But the point is, if you don't know the lore and if you don't read the novels, at that point, you have no word in what it goes into it. If anything, tabletop player that don't read the novels, so the people that enjoy just the models and the tabletop game, should really shut the fuck up about lore. Because like, oh no, yeah, I play the tabletop, I give Games Workshop copious amounts of money, you do not, so I know I'm more valuable than you. I read upwards at this point of 250 novels. Probably with the Damocles Golf Crusade and everything that will come after for our schedule, I will go for 300 over. And I'm not talking like Major Kill did, listening to audiobooks. Because unfortunately, with my kind of autism, I cannot listen to audiobooks because I get distracted very easily. Things that can't happen if I'm reading actively. So every single source, every single thing that I present on screen in the videos and such, I didn't listen to it. I read it actively. And like generally I might not spend thousands of dollars on the fucking models every month to play competitively or because I want to destroy the Tau players, even if that I would enjoy doing. But generally the opinion of people that don't know the story of their models and think that the models have the same level of respect and like and lore without the lore are some like of the most delusional people that I've seen in my life. Because there is a very simple example to make for the people that play only the tabletop but don't read the novels and that say, oh no, the lore is only for the minis, it doesn't matter. Okay, so tell me, what of the which one of these two models actually sparks your interest more? Grey Knight number 273 or Kaldor Drago, Supreme Grandmaster of the Grey Knights? Like, if the lore is not important, why the fuck will we have characters in the tabletop that are inspired and written from it?
And that's a great
point. At that point, why are you playing 40k? Play with rocks.
Exactly. I mean, that is actually one of the latest arguments that, well, you know, they can change the lore because it doesn't matter. I mean, what? The lore doesn't matter? Like, what makes 40k and is why people are coming to it, and why the hell then we're going to have a cinematic universe now led by Henry Cavill? I mean, if there's nothing there, why is this going to be adapted? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You have to have some kind of a motivation to play the game even on the tabletop just a little bit. And again, like you said, it's just gonna be then rocks. Like what the heck is yeah, why even bother, basically?
Generally, the lore, like there are people that think that like Games Workshop and the 40k universe can be described as a triangle, which is the novels, the games, and the tabletop games. Not really. If anything, it is a straight line, but the glue of that line is the lore. Because what is creating the story that we see in the video games? The lore. What is creating the characters, storyline, and battles that people play on the tabletop? There are people that play only battles that have happened in the lore. There are people that still play on tabletop Vrax and the Badab War because they came out as manuals to recreate on tabletop the battles that came from it. Okay, and what does this have in common? The lore. If the story doesn't make any fucking sense, if the story has no value, if the lore holds no importance in anything, then what the fuck is 40k?
Yeah, what the heck is it? I just don't get those people's arguments because they're not arguments at all. They're just retarded things that they just say. And by the way, everybody experiences the lore. I mean, not the lore, but 40k in a different way. Now, from my perspective, which is very important because, of course, I'm doing this whole channel, is I'm listening to the books. I cannot read them physically because that's not physically possible for me. I have to train. I have to take care of my dogs. I have to... Oh my God, so many things. I have to go outside, make 10,000 steps. I have to be aware of my surroundings and all those things, many things. So I have no physical time to sit and read the book. I don't have that since maybe 15 years ago or more. So basically, I just listen to a book and I go back and listen to something again and I make a note so I know what is important, what's not, and then I continue forward because so many times when I'm listening to the 40k books, especially the 40k, not 30k, but the 40k, there are so many side characters that actually don't do anything that's important, and I just found myself just drifting away. I'm like, what? Like human characters are speaking about some painting, like what is that now? And I just drift off. But anyway, if there's something important, all of a sudden I hear Gilliman. I'm like, oh, it's Gilliman. Okay, let's start doing this again. But that's kind of like more of the books. It's not on me. It's the books. But yeah, I'm kidding. But yeah, a lot of the things I can never miss this way because it's me. And then I do play the games, mostly the games that interest me. I don't really like the like Inquisitor, Martyr. And I can't play all the strategies because they're not that interesting to me, but I will play Space Marine. And I will probably play Dawn of War, although it's a strategy. I kind of enjoy, Battle Sector, just not like the top type of a game that I would want to play. So basically most things, but not the tabletop. I have no physical space in which I can go and play the game. There's limited spaces here and there's so much time that you need. If I was in my school years, sure. But, I'm not.
No, but it is not a matter of what you enjoy, but to recognize that every kind of enjoyment has its place into the fandom of 40k, but that the most important part of the fandom that gives meaning to the video games, that gives meaning to the models, is always the lore. Without the lore, your plastic can be shaped in any way possible. It can also not be plastic. Just like take a tube of like toothpaste and that can be a character on the tabletop. What makes the models interesting, removing the aesthetic, is the story behind them, not like the opposite. One of my favorite characters that actually go around, because I'm a big Blood Angel fan, is Erasmus Tycho. Erasmus Tycho was a character that I mentioned in my Armageddon video. It was a character that fought... And my cat just did damage. Good. That just like fought and died during the Armageddon, the Armageddon Wars, specifically the second and the third one. But generally, the character by itself came into existence in one of the coolest banners, which was he was a normal space marine it was a normal Space Marine on tabletop being played by one of the 40k writers, or like one of their general player. I don't remember even if it was involved with Games Workshop, but it could have been fan made. But anyway, it was a model that was being played. He was killed turn 1, like from an orc weirdo with a psychic attack, and then the guy that played him actually wrote the story behind Erasmus Tycho actually surviving, going on into falling like into the Black Rage in the Third War for Armageddon, going crazy and fighting. And Erasmus Tycho is so beloved by the Blood Angels fans to the point that even Games Workshop knows how to still honor him. There is an artwork where there is a bunch of Blood Angels like in front of a golden monument of a Space Marine captain. That captain is Erasmus Tycho. It is a monument to him that was made for 9th and 10th edition into artwork. So, like, this is the point. Like, there exist different spheres to enjoy 40k, but there is also to recognize that not all spheres are important the same. The models don't have really a story without the lore. The games don't have a setting without the lore. So, if the lore is not that important, what is 40k? Can I just make it up? Can I just interpret it in every single way possible? Am I a character into 40k? Like, if we can just go by interpretation and the lore means nothing, then what the fuck are we playing? Are we enjoying different universes at that point? Like, are we enjoying the same thing? Because if it doesn't make any difference, okay, so I interpret it like this, you interpret it like that, so we're not talking of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that unites everything is the lore. But yeah, my point is that even if you don't play the tabletop, that does not invalidate you being a fan of 40k. If you respect 40k, if you like 40k the way that it's supposed to be, and you don't try to change it, and you still engage in it in some kind of a shape or form that you like, then you are a 40k fan. That's it.
Yeah, it is usually the opinion kept by real elitist assholes that think that just because they give thousands a month to Games Workshop, they have a bigger dick than anybody else, which is not how it plays.
Yeah, plus if you don't have a dick, but you're still a fan, then what?
Yeah.
Okay, Tsunami, can you please read the new super chats? And thank you so much, guys. Fellow creator is here. Coronet Gains, the super awesome muscular Astartes. Hi to you with the $2 Thank you so. Morning, yes, probably morning in Australia. Lord is very important. Yes, and he has been a fan of 40k since he was a very little kid, so I also get how he feels. So salute to a fellow content creator. Thank you. And another super chat by XZark J. So yeah, Tsunami, take it away. Sorry, I just started talking.
Zizak J for 25 says, what does our Il Duce think about Trazyn being one of the lost Primarchs and Gene Father of Blood Ravens? Asking for memes.
Cool.
Unfortunately, he's not one of the Lost Primarchs, mainly because the Lost Primarchs are actually better characters than Trazyn. No, but jokes aside, Trazyn is an interesting character, but presented to many people by the wrong perspective, because many people get exposed to Trazyn from the Book of the Infinite and the Divine with Orican and everything, but that is Necrons from the point of view of some of the chillest Necrons around. The real perspective of like a human with the Necrons will be Dead Man Walking. So if you have not read that, read that.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for responding to that. Okay, guys. So that's amazing, by the way. We have 142 watching. Awesome Pontius audience, guys. Thank you so. Amongst my own, that's super awesome. Okay, so you know what? I was trying to decide which custody I like better, like the original Tides custody with the male armor, or what do you think is worse? I mean, the custody with the male armor, the female custody, or this female custody with the kind of like a female armor, which makes her look, more narrow and just, it just diminishes the stature of a custody as a whole. So yeah, what do you think?
Well, the armors look a bit better in this case because they're more decorated. At the same time, they are not of the original design of the custodians. They resemble more what a Primaris custodian would look like, which is not the aesthetic I like. To be honest, I like more the custody from Tides, just generally because it still maintains the normal aesthetic of the custodies. This one really isn't it for me. Like, too heavily decorated and at the same time so busy, and generally with the boob armor too. This is not like... The point is, custodian, like at this point, if you are dealing with superhumans, why the fuck do they need boob armor? Like, generally, when it comes even to the technology of the custodians, I don't think their armors are as thick as the ones, like, given to Astartes. They're probably as resistant, if not more, but they use better technology, better materials. Why the fuck is the armor so thick that, like, you need the boob armor? Especially, how big are the boobs of a custodian to the point of needing this kind of armor?
Well, if they take hormones, those boobs are going to be probably diminished to nothing. You know.
Not even a problem of hormones, but, like, generally, if they didn't make the retcon that they always existed, it wouldn't even make sense that they would exist, because, like, the only person that was capable of producing custodians on a good rate and left behind the process how to make them was the Emperor, and the Emperor officially never worked on females, so they were either all males or all dead.
Yeah, technically, if you watch channels like channels that deal with like real historical weapons and armor, boob armor is not very practical, if at all. And plus, the original custody design of that tights animation, the armor is protruded forth anyway, so it will fit any woman that will wear that anyway. It doesn't matter if she has boobs or not.
It is actually, though, a problem of canon too, because there is to consider that a piece of lore of the custodians describes them pretty much as the equivalent of Greek gods. They are perfect. They are considered to be the ultimate form of humanity in both stature, ways of war, ways of fighting, and especially also beauty. You want to tell me that this is what the beauty of a female custodian looks like? To be honest, to the level of a custodian, like as a warrior, it should look like, especially because when you consider that they are not Astartes, they don't need hormones, they are genetically evolved, they should look like Amazon warriors, and extremely beautiful Amazon warriors at that. Because, as I said, the lore said that they were pretty much the equivalent of Greek statues, not Greek toilets like the one on screen.
Greek toilets. Oh my god, that's so awesome. Okay, so here we have, yes. I just want to show
a custodian, a female custodian, unironically, would look like this. Inhuman, but removing the third eye, because the third eye is navigator stuff, but unironically would look like this. Still a warrior, still muscular, still lean, but feminine. The equivalent of an Amazon warrior. And not, for how much I have respect for her as an athlete, the daughter of Brock Lesnar. Because the daughter of Brock Lesnar is not genetically, genetically is not the norm. It's more of an exception, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the daughter of Brock Lesnar, if she took steroids, more like it. So yeah, this was what Chainsword made with AI, and it looks much more accurate. I mean, at least if we're going to have female custodians, at least make them beautiful, make them make sense in that context of genetically superior human beings. If the men are super amazing and handsome, then the women should be exactly like that, but without the manliness of it. So,
yeah, but there is a problem that many people don't consider when it comes to this. Removing that, I've seen many people make the discussion for a super demonculaba, which, yes, if this was the lore all this time, I can fucking see Warsmith Honsu now going on the hunt for female custodians to try and get even better marines out of them in a demonculaba form. But removing that, this creates probably the ultimate problem with the ideology of the Emperor ever considered. These are not artificial beings. They are artificially evolved, but they are still natural humans brought to the next form, the next stage of human evolution. If they are women, they can procreate. Which is one of the biggest problems with the continuity, especially with the ideology of the Emperor of Mankind. The Emperor was scared shitless of superhumans procreating, because he knew the moment that happened, humanity would be gone instantly. Because when you are superhuman, unless you have a need, unless you have a connection to the people you come from, you don't care about them. There is no reason to care about them. There are many Space Marine chapters that, if it wasn't for their need for recruitment, they would have left so many fucking planets to die in the hands of the enemy, because they wouldn't give a fuck. And that is one of the main fears the Emperor had, which is why he never made female Thunder Warriors, female Marines and such. And he actually was fucking right, seeing what Warsmith Honsu, and especially what Fabius Bile can do, because there would have been people that were capable of making them procreate. But with custodians, that ideology is out of the window. If the Emperor created the female custodians, this means that the Emperor went against his own ideology of the Imperium is not for the transhuman, but for mankind, which is what Malkador even explained in a short story I mentioned in the Female Spaceman's video. If this were made by the Emperor, they actively make him contradict his own ideology of, I don't want a superhuman caste to delete humanity from existence. Now we have the reason why the Emperor never made them, and yet there they are.
But if they are also made to protect humanity, wouldn't that help? And, not... I mean, for them.
Yeah, but at that point, you need to question, why would I protect something I have no use for? Like, if I can just procreate more superhumans, why am I protecting you? It would be like the equivalent of Megamind with Titan. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm protecting you. Just, you're under new management now. Pretty much, yeah, you're my slave now. That is the main reason. There is a connection that must never be broken, because if superhumans can procreate with each other, what is the use they have for humanity? Slaves?
Oh god, well that's grimdark. Okay, let's go quickly to the two super chats that came. So, Corner Gates again for the 2 Australian dollar. Dead Man Walking, good book. And again, Tsunami, can you continue with the next super chat for €250? And thank you so much.
Das Rat Story says, we all know the Emperor is just a great horned rat, and the Imperium is the Space Skaven Empire in the process of being made by his might. Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Das Rat Stories. That's interesting. Okay, so what do you think about the Storm? Damn it, I forgot their names. The Storm, the fantasy custodians that are not fantasy custodians.
Stormcast Eternals.
Thank you. The
Stormcast Eternals were never written to be all male. Like, from the inception of Age of Sigmar, which, to be honest, is pretty much fucking bullshit in general. I don't like Age of Sigmar at all. I prefer the fantasy. I like some of the models of the Stormcast, but their lore is fucking stupid. But generally, like, the Stormcast Eternals were never made to be gender locked. The Stormcast Eternal lore, from what I know, is that the souls of mighty warriors get reincarnated by Sigmar, the god himself, into superhuman warriors that can fight around. That is the lore of the Stormcast Eternals. So it was never gender-locked. The Custodes were gender-locked until Games Workshop decided they weren't. And they didn't even write a story for it. They just literally decided they are women now.
Sure, I just wanted to ask about the lore part of the armor, because it's like theirs, and I did watch some of the GW animations for the Stormcast Eternal, because yeah, I mean, I want to watch whatever I can, but I'm not into the fantasy lore, so I will forget their names, of course. But yeah, what do you think about changing the design to look more like theirs?
It is bullshit. The point of Stormcast Eternals is that while their armor in shape looks good, their details don't really mesh with 40k. I can see why they would reuse some of the parts, because there are some plating of armors that are actually pretty cool. But at the same time, Stormcast Eternals lack the detail and composition that goes into making a 40k mini. Because there is also to realize that if in 40k, if you have an armor like the one of Stormcast Eternal, you are a rich fuck in general, or you are very high the ladder of the Imperium. Like, even having just a power armor is a symbol that you are extremely rich. So you want to tell me that, for an example, for the relic plating, like if you want to see an example, look no further than the new Sanguinary Guard models, the Primaris Sanguinary Guard models. These guys are supposed to be the most elite warriors of any chapter descending from Sanguinius, the personal bodyguards of the Primarch during the Horus Heresy, and the personal bodyguards of the chapter masters now in 40k. They are supposed to wear relic pieces of armor that are not even known in the Imperium anymore, that cannot be produced. They are supposed to use relic weapons that the Imperium doesn't know how to make anymore. And you see the new Primaris versions, and they literally look like handsome Squidward if he was made of gold. Zero details, zero dedication, zero rubies. There is literally nothing. It's a blend Stormcast Eternal armor. It doesn't really mesh with the style of 40k. The style of 40k is might over substance. Like, you have very extremely bulky armors that are extremely well decorated, to the point that some of them are considered to be the equivalent of historical documents, because some of them are inscribed with histories of battle, some of them are inscribed with like depictions of events, and then you give extremely bland armor. This armor, and to be honest, has the opposite problem. Too much detail. You don't know where to focus. It needed to have a bit less, but more elaborate in some plating. Because look at the style they went with. The chest plate is extremely busy. You don't know where to look. You don't know how to recognize different like kinds of decorations. The shoulder pads, same thing. Then you look at the legs and they're completely fucking bland.
Yeah, it's pretty off-putting actually. It's weird. I really like my old Custodes. Yeah. I'm just gonna stick with them.
Why? You don't like the new ones?
What there isn't to like about literally your grandma threatening you with a chakla being made a custodian?
Tsunami, what do you think, by the way? Sorry that I'm not asking you anything.
No, no, you don't have to ask me. These guys are fantastic, and they're saying pretty much everything. The voice of the people, I think, is really what's going on here, and bringing up such excellent points that have not been brought up in anything that I've seen. So yeah, I'm happy just chilling and listening to the jokes.
Like,
yeah.
if you want, I will show you the difference between what 40k looks like now because of Age of Sigmar and what it looks like before. Using the Sanguinary Guard. There is an artwork of the Sanguinary Guard that is probably my favorite artwork ever made in 40k, because it really shows the contrast between the angel and the devil that it comes from Chaos Marines versus Sanguinary Guard, which is this one. Now, this is the artwork that I love the most about the Blood Angels. Literal angels coming down from the sky, ready to rain vengeance on the traitors of the Imperium. This is the model that they got in 10th edition. If you can show them both of them on screen, everyone can see why Age of Sigmar actively made the 40k worse with its design choices.
Give me a second. Okay, let me see. Aha! Okay, hold on, guys. The Tsunami is going to disappear for a second because I gotta get these pictures from Discord. Oh, that is cool. Okay. Okay, you're gonna see them in a sec, guys. Okay, just a bit. Okay, Tsunami is back. Now I'm gonna start putting them on screen. I think there's some kind of an issue with the format, but hold on, I'm gonna fix it. Okay, you can talk about that. I'm just gonna put them on screen as soon as possible. But
I mean, generally there is very little to talk about. It is very the problem is very visible. Like once they're on screen, I can explain like all the differences that one can notice, because there is there are some that are extremely subtle, but that make pretty much the artwork and the models work and not work together.
Okay, it's just that they went in a totally different folder for some reason, but I'm gonna get them. Yes, here they are. So this is one. I'm gonna get the artwork. Other. Yeah. And this is the other. The hell did it? Okay. Ah, it's just too big. Yeah, that's why. Can't find it right away. Okay, here it is. They're all on screen now.
Put it a bit on the left, because like there is 3 Marines to see, and there is details that can be seen on all of them. Like even if you cover us for a second, it doesn't matter really. Okay, as you can see, there is a lot of difference, because like the Space Marine on the left, removing the fucking tactical rock that I cannot stand anymore at this point, you can see that it is a very basic armor, extremely basic armor. When you look at the Space Marines on the right, you don't diminish it, or people cannot see the detail. One of the main points that I want to make is the armor is simple in design, but extremely well decorated. There are obviously giant wings behind. That doesn't matter if they're practical, even if they can use them for gliding. But like it is it is one of their main symbols. They are literally angels, like Sanguinius was, coming on the battlefields. Other than that, you can see that the armors have rubies, inscriptions, like on the chest, on the helmets, on the jump pack. There is one of them, the one that is in the center, that probably is the commander of the Sanguinary Guard, that has a literal fluorescent halo, iron halo, to protect him. There are muscles molded into the armor, like a very old Greek and Italian design armor. The Angelus bolt gun that is wrist-mounted, gigantic, with the magazine coming out from the side. The swords that are illuminated in a unique manner. Like, it is all unique. Then you look at the new model they released, and it is pretty much a Stormcast Eternal on a tactical rock with tiny wings, with the helmet of Handsome Squidward and a sword that technically doesn't follow the design of a Sanguinary Guard blade. He doesn't even get the wrist-mounted weapon. He literally is wielding it.
I pretty much can't tell even the difference. I mean, if I don't look at this closely, I'm gonna be like, is this like the same thing? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, they are the same thing, and there is no inscriptions, there is no decorations. Even the shape of the armor is shittier. It is literally Stormcast armor. It is not like even tried. They didn't even try to shape it like a muscular body like the original ones did.
Yeah, it's just so diminishing, you know? It just sucks, basically.
Yeah, and it is a problem that is happening. 40k has been moving more and more towards the design of Age of Sigmar. Because the design of Age of Sigmar, for the majority, is simple and it sucks. But it is very easier to produce and very cheap.
I mean, GW are a multi-billion company. I don't know why they can make more effort about those things. It's just ridiculous and very disrespectful, because there have been disrespecting us anyway, like all the time. And now this, like... Okay, we do have, I mean, if you're finished with the Stormcast and Blood Angels rant, we have another pretty cool thing to focus on. So just let me know if you're finished with that, so I can
Yeah, no, we are done. But generally, as you can see, the armors don't really work. The style is not there, and especially like I don't think in that kit there was even a variant like the Captain has in that screenshot, because that is probably my favorite 40k helmet of all time. A golden MK7 or MK8 helmet with a golden halo around it instead of a death mask, which is, to be honest, very cool. But I don't think that was an option in the older version of the Sanguinary Guard. I don't think it was an option here. So
yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so we basically have to make a list of how many times GW have disappointed us with whatever it is, really. Like, okay, so we have something special here, actually, on the screen. I'm just gonna remove that. So just before the news of the female Custodes, there were some talks going around that particularly 2 heads from this picture are female. But then GW came out with this interview, and they said very clear that there are no female Astartes, which is pretty amazing. I actually didn't expect that. Of course, Tsunami here said that we shouldn't hope that this is going to be true for the future, of course. I mean, we cannot trust the GW for anything, but at least they said it. At least they said, like, there are no female Astartes. But people try to push a lot that these particular heads that I'm gonna try to showcase right now are female. So the first head that is female, according to people, is first row second head and second row first head. Do you see those?
yeah, but like generally they look extremely Asian, even if, to be honest, seeing some of the artworks that Games Workshop are released, for now they don't know what an Asian guy looks like, especially for the artwork of Gadriel given in the 500 Worlds like book. That artwork still owns my nightmares. He looks like a with stoned space marine, but generally they seem like female-ish, but at the same time I think it is a mixture of very shitty sculpting done by Games Workshop, because they are renowned that their heads suck, as you can see even from the majority of the heads here, and at the same time a very bad work at painting, because like it has highlights that try to highlight more feminine figures and not the manly ones like the rest do. They have been renowned to be extremely shitty like at representing stuff, especially when it comes to Asians, because like recently they released a Terminator Squad for the Space Wolves, and they put an Asian space marine into it, and if you look at it, it's literally Mr. Miyagi. Even as like the old 60s movie kind of side-long mustache that goes under his chin. It's literally, what if we made Mr. Miyagi but a space wolf? And you get that.
Wolf and Whis.
Yeah, I mean, I call that bullshit because, obviously these are guys. Maybe they look a bit weird with the mouth and whatever, and people could think that that's female. But by the same token, they are looking at basically models of the Sisters of Battle, and they're saying that they look like guys and literal men. That was, I think, last year. When, yes, they looked ugly and whatever, they can look manly, but you can't say that the Sister of Battle is an exact man, and then tell me that these heads that are much more manlier than them are actually now women. Like, pick one. What is the idea that they're gonna push exactly? Where is the objectivity here? So for me, these are just very ugly men, and yes, the first head from the second row looks kind of like Asian, and the second head from the first row looks just like any other guy here, really. There's nothing female about that guy, so that's
literally
bullshit.
how Games Workshop does Asian representation, which is extremely shitty.
Yeah, so that was super far-fetched nonsense for clicks that I really don't enjoy when people try to do that when it has absolutely no merit and you just have to have eyes. Like some people even said that these two heads had female cheekbones. I'm like, what the hell is a female cheek? Like cheekbones? Are you kidding me? I mean, I'm literally an artist. I'm drawing people since I was 5. There is no such thing as female cheekbones. Of course, there's female faces and whatever, but female cheekbones in particular, that's extremely misleading. But anyway, so what do you think exactly about what GW said, that there are no female Astartes? This is pretty clear what they said there. So what do you think?
That I trust Games Workshop as much as I will trust a Chaos Cultist. They're saying it now probably to try and avoid making the Backlash worse, which is pretty much the equivalent of damage control, but I don't believe for a second that they will stick with their word. They didn't with the Custodes. Why should I trust that they will do it with Astartes?
Sure, I mean, I agree with that, but the point is that we have it recorded. So...
Yeah, we have it recorded, but we also had recorded that all custodians were males, and they ignored that anyway, so...
Yeah, I know, but there's a loophole in how technically there's a loophole in how the lore is written for the Custodes and how the lore is written for the Astartes, and now we have this... this
No. There isn't really a loophole. We even have an interview with Aaron Dembski-Bowden that, like, at one point made an Ask Me Anything on Reddit, and he was asked, okay, but like, were the custodians, like, were the custodians in this book that you wrote, which is the Sanguinius book, actually all the book in which Sanguinius gets found, like, were these custodians, it might be Sanguinius or Corvus. Anyway, I'm misremembering the quote, but like, were these custodians all male or females? Because you said men and women in the same gold of the ship that was coming down, and you explained, I wanted to write female custodians in that book, but it came out from like the CEOs of Games Workshop, because I asked them, can I write female custodians, and they went, no, you can write only men. They never explained why. I just asked and they said no. So I wrote only men, but I wanted to write woman. So we had him pretty much confirming, in the beginning I wanted to add woman, but Games Workshop said no. And now they're saying yes, for some reason.
No, I know that story. Actually, that was about basically the Custodes, and next to them were who? The freaking Sisters of Silence and Golden Armor. You know?
Yeah, which is actually pretty fucking funny, because people go, oh, but Sisters of Silence wear silver or bronze armor. Yeah, look at actually at the cover of Watchers of the Throne, the Emperor's Legion, and the artwork of the Battle of Lion's Gate. Tell me what color the armors of the Sisters are, because that is not bronze.
Yeah, it's gold. But let me explain what do I mean by a loophole. So basically, we have several several instances of the Custodes mentioned as sons. I even made like videos and I like look for that a lot. I even have one particular line from the Emperor, these men or these might, I forget, it was like a year ago, but there are those instances where there are several times that they're referred to as men and sons and the sons of noble, houses, all those things. They're there. Okay, but what GW have tried to do with this article is to say that this part of the female custodians, that part of the custodians were just not mentioned because stuff happened. So it's like, well, they did existed, but we didn't mention it. It's technically an addition to the lore, so it's not a retcon. It's an addition, like we did additions to anything else, like Necron's
That is
lore.
not the concept of addition. The concept of addition is adding stuff where there wasn't before. Changing stuff that existed to add more is the definition of retcon, not addition.
Yes, but they are trying to spin it as an addition. That's what I mean.
Yeah, this is not gambling, it's surprise mechanics. If EA was fucked up for saying that, Games Workshop should too.
It was gaslighting in the article. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. But with the Astartes, there's much more lore and much more written instances where the process of creating an Astarte is described as specifically male. That was repeated much more times. That's what I mean. Like so many times that for them it's gonna be very hard to go around that and say that they're now female. So it's gonna be a lot.
Very hard doesn't mean they will not try. Just remember what happened in the last movie of the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. They didn't even try to explain it. Somehow Palpatine returned, and that's it.
I know, but but still, I guess what I'm trying to say is that GW are working or trying to at least have some kind of a guidelines in which they're trying to retcon the lore. So with the female Astartes, it's going to be so much harder and annoying for them to do that. So they, at least for now, decided to say no female Astartes. Or the other theory that people have, and they also mentioned to me, is that how about instead of giving the whole thing, like giving the whole arm, just let them have an inch, and the inch and the sacrificial lamb in this case is the Custodes. So basically giving to the woke this amazing fighting force, because they're like the top elite force, and saying, well, you can have them and you have to be happy with that, because we're not giving you actually Astartes. They're the most famous throughout even the common folk, even people that are not 40k fans. So we're not gonna sacrifice them, but we're gonna sacrifice this elite force, the most elitist force of the MOA, and you have to be happy. So that's the theory
that
of some
betrays
people.
a complete and utter misunderstanding of how the woke work. If Games Workshop really thinks that, they have just put themselves in the worst position possible to ever have with the woke movement. The woke are not people you can satisfy. They will always want more. The moment you give them an inch, you are already done. They will take the mile. They don't give a single flying fuck if it will kill the franchise, if it will destroy the lore, if it will kill Games Workshop. If they gave a fuck about what happened to 40k, they wouldn't demand for it to change constantly. The woke movement is literally the equivalent of a fucking leech. It takes and it takes. It doesn't matter if it kills the host. And in this case, the fact, oh no, yeah, obviously, guys, we have given you female custodians. Oh yeah, you're giving us female custodians. Thank you. Now do Marines. That will be the result.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying what people think that this is. Yeah, that this is actually the case. That's what people think, that this might be the case. But again, we are very much aware of every other universe, and again, Star Wars, that they just want the whole thing, and they're not gonna stop. So we know this. So it's either like people are thinking this, but they're naive to think this, or GW are the ones that are actually naive, and this is actually true, and they're really underestimating the desire of the woke to just have everything. So which one is it really?
Yeah, if this change was done so that they try to satisfy the most vocal minority to ever exist in the history of humanity, they have not understood who they are dealing with. I have dealt with them for the last 5 years, directly from my Facebook group to now on the YouTube side. They are literally the equivalent of fucking tyrannids. They will take everything, they will destroy everything just to satisfy their own self-loathing ideology that is only satisfiable by ignoring reality and logic, which is why this retcon was instantly hated by everyone that is not of their own ideology, because it is completely illogical. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, what do you think is gonna happen from here in 40k?
more bullshit. To be honest, with how the story is being set up, the Primarchs are becoming once again the fucking center of the universe, which will make the stories a lot more boring, which will make the stories a lot more repetitive, which will take attention away from other stories that might be told, because like not every book needs a Primarch, not every book needs a world-shattering war. Rin's World is one invasion, and it is widely considered one of the best books ever written about 40k. It is one invasion, one single chapter, some main characters, none of them are mainstream in 40k, there is no Primarchs, there is no famous characters in it, and it is still considered one of the best books. Same goes for 15 Hours, same goes for Dante, same goes for Devastation of Baal. By writing the Primarchs, Belisarius Call, the Primaris back into the story now in 40k, they're pretty much taking away attention from other conflicts that might happen in general, in the general story of 40k, because not all books need to cover either 30k or 40k. There is 10,000 years in the middle. Can we get something from like M35, M37 maybe, something? But no, now 40k is becoming 30k with Chaos Primarchs, which is already 30k, so.
Okay, although I mean, this is my personal preference, of course. I love to see big things happening, and Primarchs talking and such things are really fascinating to me because, you know, my point of view is basically analyzing a lot of the psychology between the bigger characters and how they work, how they think. That's what is fascinating to me. So I'm just coming from an angle of a lot of analyzing of characters, so that to me is very interesting. Of course, I see your point as well. I mean, you can have a very concentrated story about practically no one that is that important, but still the story and what's happening is important and it has a lot of substance. Totally, of course. But you know, I personally just love to see Primarchs. There are only 2 barely, so it's not like it's crowded.
I mean, they've already hinted that Ras is coming back. Like, the problem is they don't know how to contain themselves. The main point was, if I want to read about the Primarchs, I go and read 30k. If I want to read about the state of the Imperium now, I go and read in 40k. There was no reason to intertwine both. There was no reason to make the story once again about the fucking Primarchs. The story after the Horus Heresy became the story of humanity, how human spirit, human desires and such can either bring us to greatness or bring us to destruction. You don't need superhuman demigods to have an interesting story. You need more characters like, for example, Lord Solar Macarius. For those that don't know it, or for those that have not watched my video on the Macarian Crusade, Lord Solar Macarius, born in M41, at the beginning of it, became Lord Solar at the age of 20, started moving wars in the Imperium at an incredibly high and efficient rate, created the Macarian Crusade, a crusade that in 25 years reconquered 1,000 planets in Segmentum Pacificus and pretty much formed the Segmentum that we know today. The guy was no Primarch, no Immortal Warrior, no Saint. He was a very smart general with a very dedicated army of soldiers. His trilogy is probably one of the most interesting trilogies that you can read when it comes to Imperial Guard life, and especially the life of a conqueror like Macarius. And it was interesting without the need of even having Space Marine characters for the majority of it. Because like the only Space Marine characters were some Space Wolves, and one of them was Logan Grimnar, but they weren't prevalent in the books. Like, they appeared in the second book and were gone, like, by the time there was fighting to do, and at the end of the third one. The majority of the story was on a human conqueror and his bodyguards. And it was interesting like that.
Okay.
Macarius became Saint after that, so...
Yeah, he became a Saint after he died, not before.
All right. I mean, I
So
think
now
both things are fair if they're done very right. I think they could be both amazing. I get both
Ghost.
points. What?
I agree 100%. This is how I got into 40k. I didn't read about 30k. I read about 40k. I learned about Gaunt's Ghosts. I learned about Caiaphas Cain. There's so many directions that they could go and so many interesting stories to tell, but they keep wanting to go back to this shit. So I was just agreeing with what they were saying.
Okay. All right, guys. So this is, I mean, we pretty much, I think, covered a lot of this. So if you have anything to add, Pontius, Pio, and Tsunami, you can do that. And after that, I think that we did a pretty good job today. Yeah, covered a lot.
Pio, what's your opinion?
I agree.
I agree. Oh, yeah, good. No, generally, I just think Games Workshop and 40k is going to a direction of pure boredom. Like, female custodians always existed. Oh no, yeah, the Primarchs. Oh no, the World Shattering Wars. They are focusing on what everything was already focusing and taking attention away from stuff that matters. The Sisters of Battle, the Sisters of Silence. I would like to read the books in the Corunus Expanse, but obviously we cannot get anything interesting because there is the Ass of Gilliman to talk about. Oh no, more books about the Blood Angels. Oh no, we cannot have that. They are just red Ultramarines. Don't worry. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, there is so much interesting stuff that can be covered. The Crave, what is in the Ghoul Stars, what is in the Corunus Expanse by itself with Dialo devices, all the shit that is happening in Imperium Nihilus. There are so many interesting stories that could be told, especially like stuff like Octarius. But no, we have to talk Primarchs, we have to talk female custodians, we have to talk representation, we have to talk DEI. I used to enjoy 40k. Now, every single time I see something new, it just makes me angry. And it is tiring. It is why, as I even said in my own videos, if I had to choose, I wouldn't read anything past the Fall of Cadia. But unfortunately, I like to be accurate with the information I provide, so...
It's your job.
It is my job. I could do it like Major Kill. Just go, I read it on a wiki. It is good.
What do you think about what Major Q actually said if you watch his video about the female custodies?
I have not watched it, and to be honest, his opinion matters to me as much as the opinion of any fucking paid shill of Games Workshop. I don't care if he likes it or not. He lacks the knowledge to understand why they're a problem. So
no, he doesn't actually like them. He was just basically trying to say that we should not fight each other. We should be more civil about it, and it's
no, we shouldn't. No, we shouldn't. The problem, oh no, what, guys, can't we all be friends? Is the most fucking naive point of view anybody can have in the culture war. We have been shown we cannot be friends. We have been shown that being the silent majority is not good. We have been shown that a minority that screams louder will get what they want. Time to stop being the fucking silent majority. Time to stop fucking tolerating the people that hate us. Fucking stop tolerating that what you love must be destroyed on the altar of people that didn't give a fuck about it from the beginning. They want a fight, they will have it. Ideological or not, time to speak the fuck up. If you just go, oh no, guys, I disagree with this. Can't we all be friends? We just need to be civil with one another. Fuck you! Time to tell to Games Workshop to either get it straight or fuck off. There are people that unironically are going, even now, female custodians don't exist. They have made lore, they have made minis, they have made interviews, and people are still like, you are full of shit. It doesn't exist.
Can't we all be friends? Can you just shut the fuck up?
Yeah, can we all be friends? Can you fuck off? Like, generally, as Lehman said it directly, I think it was to Jagatai Khan, try being angry. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, actually, and me and Tsunami had a great conversation about that in the morning because, Arch made a video and he showed what... not Tsunami, sorry. What Major Kill said and what Varwark said, which is the same thing in a nutshell, like try to be civil and don't call each other names. Now, I probably will not be able to repeat the same thing that I said in the morning because it was pretty great, but I'm gonna try a little bit. But guys, definitely watch the stream from the morning because we did discuss what Chainsword said, which was amazing. So basically, absolutely fight for the freaking hobby because
fight for what you love.
Yeah.
We are all fans of something that was made great by our love and dedication to it. There are people like me that have spent countless hours like learning about this universe, studying it, or people like Pio that were forced to learn it because somebody else loved it, like I did. Like generally, this is this is your hobby. Start treating it like something that must be preserved, not something that you think about sometimes. Thinking that you can just go and say, oh no guys, I actually disagree with this, but the people that agree with it are fine. No, that will kill 40k. You love 40k, time to gatekeep it. Gatekeep massively. Gatekeep anybody that you can clock that is actually a false fan. Because like there is a lot of stigma that goes behind gatekeeping, but at the same time, the definition of gatekeeping has been demonized without any kind of reason behind it. There is a simple explanation for it. Are you here to learn of the hobby or to change it? Learning, welcome. Changing it, fuck off. It is that simple. If you need to make 40k hostile to protect it, make the fucking 40k hostile to these people.
Great. Thank you for that. Pio, what?
No, yeah, we should all be friends. There is something I have to say, but why, if we are friends and you are being stupid, I'm going to tell you that you are being stupid. So technically,
Pio, are you some kind of gatekeeper, Pio? Do you know that's a bad thing?
I'm going to tell you that you are stupid because I love you.
Why don't you want female custodians? Are you some kind of misogynist? No, I just think you are some kind of idiot, but anyway.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, guys, can you just let me gather my thoughts for a second, because I have been doing so much content on 3 channels, my brain is fried. I'm trying my best here. Okay, so, like I've said, I'm the freaking 40k Empress, which means fight for the freaking 40k. I mean, what's the point even then if we're gonna call each other what we're calling each other, and why we love this thing at all? Just go and protect it the way that you can. Like, I'm making videos, Pontis is making videos, we speak about the things that we don't like, we point the things that are wrong with the hobby and with GW politics and whatever. I do the same in the superhero universe, I do the same in the gaming sphere, so I'm fighting on 3 freaking fronts. And it's the same thing actually with Superman in the previous Superman. Like, people say, can we like both Superman? No, because the new Superman is soy, and he looks like one, and he looks like SpongeBob, and the previous Superman is the epitome of masculinity and strength. Which Superman do you think I'm gonna pick? Jesus Christ, but okay, I mean, it's the same principle. And as for engaging with the woke people, there is the productive way, which is again what we are doing with the videos. The other way, when somebody is trying to talk down to you in a comment section and you're trying to prove your point, and once you have done that with 1 or 2 comments, then it's healthy to just disengage, because there's no point if the proof is there. If you already prove your point, everybody can read what you actually written. There's no point to continue poisoning your soul and conversing with this individual that has actually no individuality, and they are just the new adopters of the sheep mindset, which is again the woke. But again, also be careful now not to go only with emotion. Use your logic and thinking, and first reason, and then supplement that with emotion second, because otherwise we're just gonna become like the woke, which is also actually happening. And that's what concerns me as well, because really, by this point, there are so many things in gaming, in 40k and other things, like that thing that I just showed you with the Space Marine heads, where people are just not saying the truth anymore. They're just screaming stuff that are not there, like female heads.
Yeah, but but there is a little point to make about that, though. There is a difference between what is happening with people cloaking stuff that might be woke and the people that were cloaking stuff to be offended about on the side of the woke. They did it because they were offended by fucking everything. We did because we have seen several properties we liked burned down in ashes by stupid choices made by people that listen to the loudest and stupidest of the fucking minorities to ever exist in the universe in general. People are getting paranoid because when we weren't, we lost stuff. now we don't want to lose it anymore.
Sure, but still, if because I am watching 3 universes at the same time, it's kind of becoming a pattern of losing all objectivity here. So that is what I don't want to happen. I understand where we are all coming from, but we are also getting conditioned, and that's not okay. So just keep your eyes there, and then go by emotion. Just still protected, but don't be like a sheep again, because we are going to become like sheep just the same. Eventually, if this continues. It's obvious. I just have too many examples of that. So that's why I'm saying it. And nobody's speaking about that. So, yeah. Okay. Let's go because it's 11 my time. And it's 10.
It's almost 10.
It's for you, it's 10, but for me, it's 11. Okay, guys. So, leave your comments down below. Of course, Pontius is tagged. So if you haven't yet seen his channel, you can absolutely do that. Just click on the tag, and there's much more things that we can discuss in the future, and it's gonna be awesome. So Pontius and Pio, thank you so much for coming. Thank you guys, really.
Oh, no problem.
And Tsunami, thank you so much for getting up to be here with the different time zones and everything.
Of course, thank you so much to you guys for being on here and really speaking. Like I said, I feel like you're speaking for all the fandom, so it's really nice to hear you guys talk.
Absolutely.
Glad of it, to be honest. The more people we represent, the better. The less people feel represented by Major Kill, the normality.
Yeah. It's complicated. It's a mess. Okay, so guys, we're gonna stream tomorrow morning, which is about, how many hours is that? 11? About 11 hours from now. I'm not sure it's gonna be Batman or it's gonna be the Punisher on the gaming channel, but we do need something to just, not talk so much, just have fun, be in that gaming mode, not so many serious things, and just have fun. So see you there, guys. If you're on the gaming channel, tonight I'm gonna post the links if you can on the superhero channel and on the gaming channel, and we are fighting the good fight there as well. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Pio, and awesome the Pontius, awesome Pontius, and Tsunami, and see you guys later. Yes, bye. Love you.
Good night.
Bye.
The 40k Empress leads the way as warriors of the imperium sway into realms where dangers play, where hidden minds hold sway. Through stars and storms we rise, under her watchful eyes, with faith and fire will prevail, for the imperium must not fail. For the imperium we prevail. Beneath the grand cathedral spires, plots twist like smoldering fires, but with her blade of pure desire, she claims the stars entire. Through stars and storms we rise, under her watchful eyes, with and fire will prevail, for the imperium must not fail. For the imperium we prevail. Through storms and battle cries, her banners pierce the darkened skies. With bolter hymns the traitor dies, as loyal warriors arise. Saints and psychers bend the flame, every world speaks her name. The The Empress rules without shame as war she does reclaim. Through stars and storms we rise, under her watchful eyes. With faith and fire we'll prevail, for the imperium must not fail. Imperium we prevail. The warriors march with sacred might, their purpose burning crystal bright, to lift the throne world from its plight and guard humanity's light.
The 40k Empress became a war. The battle